Hey guys, how about a little bonus unboxing action? I actually would have included this in the last video, but I didn't realize it had been delivered already. It was sitting out in front of the building for about a day and a half before I realized it had been delivered. Seller must have shipped this, I think, even before I actually paid for it. Now, I am rather trepidatious about this because it was shipped via UPS. And it really feels like it was not packed very well. Sure, he wrote this side up, fragile glass, but I haven't had too much luck with UPS. I certainly don't read those warnings. Now, in the seller's defense, I haven't talked to him yet, but he may very well have just brought the item to a UPS store, because the UPS stores I've seen do a terrible job of packing stuff. I think the UPS actually specifies something ridiculous, like your package should be able to survive a 2-foot drop or something like that. Yeah, I had a feeling that they use these crappy airbags, which just don't work that well, especially when it's something heavy, because they tend to pop or they just compress a lot. So this thing, I could tell, was just really flopping around inside. Anyways. Assuming it survived, this will also give me a chance to test out my recently restored RCA CRT tester, because yes, this is a TV. There actually was a little bit of foam at the front. May have actually protected the safety plastic up there. So, what is it? Well, it's certainly easy enough to get out of the package, because there's not much packing in there. Yeah, so here we go. Basically, it was a box with this wrapped around the TV, a little bit of foam up front, a couple of these thrown on top. For a pretty heavy item, a little bit of foam on the bottom. I mean, really, if you were going to ship something like this, box like this, sure, with some decent foam around it, inside of another box with foam around it. But, well, looks like this may have actually survived, because they're actually pretty tough little things on the outside, anyways. So, yes, if you've been watching my videos, you've seen one of these before. Admiral 1957 10-inch portable CRT. I notice that there's, well, I was going to say there's a bit of paint I mean, there's definitely paint flaking off, but I don't think this is, because it's not the same color as the TV. So actually I already have one of these, two-tone green, but this was inexpensive, so, well, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of a sucker for these, so whenever one shows up on eBay, it seems, if nobody else bids on it, and it's 40 bucks or less, I give it a shot. I was hoping the paint job would be in better condition now, because the other one I've got has also got some condition issues. So in addition to the two-tone green, all the hardware should have a gold wash to it, and on my other set, it's basically all gone. It's just looks like chrome. The gold wash on this one is better, especially on the knobs, like that channel knob. And looks to be in actually really good shape, except for the paint flaking off. A lot of paint loss. But no corrosion, which is nice. Might be aluminum. I'll grab a magnet and chuck that. Here's an ion trap magnet, and yes, indeed, that is aluminum. Did you recall reading somewhere when I saw a list of all the body styles? At the end, now I remember I have a guide to all the models Admiral made, including the cabinets, and they did list some of these as being aluminum. Others are definitely steel, like the orange and white one. I know all too well because I stripped one, removed the rust, and repainted it. So I suppose I'll have to do the same with this. I'll say maybe not all of it, but yeah, there's chips all around. Anyways, Other than that, looks to be in decent cosmetic condition. Chunk of black junk there, which maybe is some of the dag coating flaking off. Maybe that's what some of the debris is I saw inside. It's got some scratches, but I'm trying to get those out. A little bent up around here too. I imagine the aluminum. Yeah, I can bend that quite easily with my hand. And this case is not quite as robust as the steel version. Alright, well, let's get to it. Pop this back, get this on the workbench, pop the back off, and take a look inside. I'm over in the workshop now. Oh, and forgot to mention, it came with a cheater cord. Old cheater cord. And I'm sure this is not the original plug. It was probably replaced back in the day. Otherwise looks to be in okay condition. Fortunately, where it attaches, not quite so nice because somebody ripped out the rivets. Otherwise I could have, or they could have, heated this up and mushed it over the original mounting rivets. Oh well, new rivets could be put in, or a screw and some nuts. Alright, so let's get this back off. And I'm actually going to go ahead and remove this antenna as well. Funny, this is, let's see, I now have 2 orange and white and 2 green. And I think 3 out of the 4 have had one of these antennas added. They are not factory. Pretty darn sure. Oh no, I'm sure they're not. Because so you'll see they are attached very crudely where they drive some screws right through the cabinet. In this case, 3. Also, I think all 3 are different styles. In fact, I think I got one of them right around here somewhere. Here's the last one I removed from a set so you can see. Rather different. But one nice thing I suppose is it gives us a better look at what the original color would have been where it's not dirty, not faded. Alright, let's get the back off. So one screw on either side. I can see that this cabinet is bent more than I've seen on the steel cabinets all around. Like this whole back is deformed. It's kind of bent. I imagine it's not too hard to kind of mush back into shape by applying pressure carefully. Ooh, looks like we may have a service tag. Well, cabinet inspection tag. Not stamped, not signed, not dated. So who knows? Ooh, and a brightener. However, I won't necessarily say it's a bad sign because my other green one also had a brightener on it. But after I removed it, I found that the CRT actually tested pretty good. I've heard, and I'm inclined to believe, that plenty of brighteners were added. And they were not really necessary, so a serviceman could just give it a quick, or make a quick buck. Just slap it in there, when the problem may very well have been, say, low high voltage, or some of the voltage on the CRT pins, like G1, G2 were off, causing a dim picture when the CRT was actually fine. But hey, you just pop one of these on there, charge them a few bucks, and be on your way. This base is a bit loose, which I've seen before. And National Video Corp, which I think is exactly the same as the last one of these I recently worked on. So let's hope that's good, because I have never seen one of these CRTs come up for sale. Otherwise, from what I can see inside, it's dirty, but not terrible. I mean, these all tend to be dirty because the dust and debris just falls right through the vents up top. One nice thing I like about this tester right away is that it has an adapter for this type CRT, whereas the CR70 you normally see me using, and have in many of my older videos, doesn't have an adapter for this type, and I always have to use those little clips, little J clips, but no, this would plug right in. Loose. Okay. And from when I last used this, everything should be set up right. This type CRT, which is standard 6.3 volt, 0.6 milliamp. Okay, so if you recall, when you plug this device in, when it's turned off, right away it applies power to the meter so you can check your line voltage. Which, now that I know this is calibrated, yeah, it's around 122, 123. And we can go then to calibrate, turn it on. This calibrated. Right about there. And yes, we do have filament glow. HK leakage. Down towards 0, good. G1 leakage, down towards 0. Now, oops, should be in that position. Should be able to adjust this cutoff so we get 2 ticks on that meter. Well, looks like we don't really have any emissions. They're just barely moving with the cutoff at the extreme. If I switch this over for the quality, basically have no emissions, or just barely. But I will let this sit and cook. Seeing it brighter is never a good sign. I'm being optimistic, saying that sometimes I've seen them on there and the CRTs are still kind of okay, but certainly sometimes they are on there and the CRTs have been driven to death. Well, I'm just not getting any emission readings, including if I switch G1 and G2 to the high positions. So there is another possibility with that. There's a loose base on this, and it could be that some of these pins are not making good contact. So I'm going to stabilize with some electrical tape, and I'm going to touch each pin and touch it up with a soldering iron, and then retest it. And there's also a possibility this device isn't working right, so I might just go ahead and pull out my CR70 as well and give that a try. In order to get better access to that CRT base, I removed screws from around the circuit board in the back, which is designed to flip down so you can replace tubes and get a better look inside there. This thing is a bit nasty. It must have gotten damp because these tube shields are gross. They're kind of cheap. They're made out of cardboard with aluminization on the inside, and some of these are just ugh. I don't know if it's mold or what. It's just disintegrating. Just disintegrating. So that will require a lot of cleaning. But anyways, better access to that CRT base, and I can see that one of the pins, this guy right here, which is G1, is hollow on the end, and the others look a little dubious too. So definitely want to touch all of these up. I'll zoom in and give you a better look at that. So that right there, all these should have a nice round dome over the end. inside, coming up through this hollow tip, making good contact inside. I finished touching up the pins, but while doing so I noticed something. Each pin has got a notch on it. They must have used a crimping tool to crimp each one. In fact, I've got one somewhere around here. I showed an unboxing video a while back, designed just for this. Slip it over the 2 pin and squeeze it, and it crimps the pin. Which makes me think that touching them up may very well not help, but let's always stay optimistic. As they say, do not have any spares, do not have any replacements. If it's bad, we'll just sit on the shelf indefinitely. Alright. Get those on there. Film gluing. Still not looking so good. Go up 1 notch in the filament juice, put about 8 volts on it. Glowing brighter, of course. Still not much of anything. Well, let's sit for a while. Now there is one other possibility. I fixed it a couple times in TVs where the cathode connection could be short, could have broken loose inside the CRT. No cathode connection, no electron flow. And it can be repaired with my Sencor and probably other testers too. Basically what you do is crank up the filament juice, let it cook for a while, switch over to the remove G1 short function, and right when you push that remove G1 short, which this does not have, but most testers do, you whack the side of the CRT neck and hope you get a spark to jump across and weld that cathode back on. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Okay, here we go with the Sencor. And you know, hey, this is just the way the game goes. These are the chances I take. Buying unknown, untested sets off of eBay. I can't inspect them in person. But when a set's reasonably priced, I got no other bidders on it, so I figure, hey, sometimes I win. In fact, usually things work out pretty well. Occasionally I'll lose out. Can always salvage spare parts from it too. Yeah, same with this, no cutoff, no emissions. This is sure acting like an open cathode. Even a CRT that's been driven really hard, unless it's gone to air, you know, it's lost some vacuum, it's going to show some emissions. That's out. Alright, there's the source of all the trouble. Coating flaking off. I'll have to recoat that assuming I can get this thing to work again. National Video Corporation. 6/34. 34th week of 1956 would be my guess, since these sets were sold in 57. Alright, so I'm going to clean off this neck, and then I'm going to actually reheat these pins, and I'm going to pull this base off and make sure that all these wires are actually present and accounted for, because it could also be a break inside this cap. Alright, so the deal is you put it in manual restore 2 mode, which really cooks the filament, then switch over to remove G1 short, hold down the red button, whack the side of the neck, look for a spark. So, cooking away, remove short. Oh yeah, that was a pretty healthy spark there. Huh. And we have emissions, alright. 3rd time I have done this successfully. Look at that. Way into the green. And we're only at 6.3 volts on that filament. It's like brand new. Now, do we have cutoff? Oh yes, we have cutoff. The question is, how long will it hold up? Like if I just tap this, would it break the connection? Well, time will tell. Do a little life test. Not spectacular, but I've seen a whole lot worse, and they got great emissions. This should produce a fine, fine image. Check that filament again. Yeah, right about on 6.3. So, I bet some poor tech out there tried crimping the pins, tried a brightener, probably had no luck, and retired the set. I've cycled the power a few times and had it running a total of about 3 hours, and everything is looking just fine. So, I guess this set will get restored. Rough as it may be inside, it does look a little grungy, but no corrosion on the cabinet, of course, being aluminum. Just got to pound out the dings a little bit and maybe repaint it. And I think those circuit boards will clean up alright. It's just a matter of seeing what condition the flyback's in and the yoke. And well, you've seen me restore a couple of these so far, so I kind of got it down pretty well now. Our life test. So, yeah, hey, successfully resurrected the CRT. Now I got to dig up a base and put a new one on here, and then clean this off and recoat it.